So we'll get right into it. Yes, I am fresh off of a mid, but I'm even fresher off of an all-star special with bacon and over easy eggs, chocolate chip waffle, and hash browns, smothered, covered, and topped. So I have just enough energy to get me through this before I take a little cat nap in a little bit. So I appreciate y'all's patience. Welcome to my presentation. Going to give some updates about social media, what we've been up to behind the scenes. Going to talk a little teeny tiny bit about co-op to really open this presentation, some stuff I've been working on in the background. Stephen and I kind of been working on some things together continuously. We'll talk about some new NOAA logos, and I say new very loosely because it's almost kind of a joke in my opinion, but we'll get there. Some quiet weather posts, some good suggestions, potentially if you need something to talk about when the weather is quiet. And best practices, be careful what you post. There's a story, and it will be an interesting one. We'll get there when we get there. So first of all, we'll go into the co-op page. I have it linked on these slides here, so you can go check it out on your own on our intranet site. I've been in the very slow, very gradual process of updating this webpage since I went on my trip to the co-op operations course back in January. Got a bunch of great info over there. You see I have linked a co-op network operations course YouTube playlist. This is technically left over from last year. It's not the latest, but they plan on renewing it sometime this summer with some brand new videos that were recorded in 2022. But I have it linked there. Even though it's a year old at this point, I've looked through it. The info is just as good as it was when I just went through it. So if anybody's interested in kind of getting a little refresher or maybe learning some things brand new for the first time about the co-op program, you are invited to check that out. The co-op webpage is very much as a work in progress. It's kind of a mess right now. I've added some good resources in there, but there's basically some organized chaos going on. So pardon my dust for that, if you will. Very gradual work in progress there. That'll get better over time. So I invite you to go check that out. And if you have any questions about that at some point, please let me know or let Stephen know, and we'll see if we can direct you. So that's it. That's enough about co-op. We'll jump right into social media. So we finished up 2021, and let's take a look back at what we grew and how we grew. We have 3 years to look at here of some statistics at the end of 2019, 2020, and now 2021. The stuff that's highlighted is the stuff that you should really pay attention to. The big points here is that we're growing. That's the good news there. We are growing. Now, there is potentially maybe some bad news that's kind of disguised, and I wouldn't necessarily freak out about it. If you take a look at some of these numbers, we grew more in 2020 than we did in 2021. And you might think that's a little bit of a disappointment that we didn't grow as much in 2021. But you got to remember that in 2020, we had the grand quarantine that it was. So everybody was home, they were inside, they had nothing to do but to scroll more through their social media feeds than they ever have before. And there was already some research that has come out that a lot of social media pages just automatically grew more than usual in that year because everybody was home. So the numbers for 2021 are still not as robust as they were in 2020. You see in terms of Facebook, at the end of 2020, we had about a 19% increase in the followers and about a 15% increase in the likes. At the end of 2021, it was only a 5% increase, so not as big. Similar trends that you found on Twitter. At the end of 2020, our follower growth went up by 3%. In 2021, it was only about 2%. So the numbers are not quite as impressive, but remember, we had big times that went on during 2020, and 2021, thankfully so, was overall better. And looks like we're even better now in 2022. And we hope that trend continues throughout the year. that's a little bit of a taste about what we've had so far with the growth of Facebook and Twitter. If you remember this presentation last year, I showed you a very similar table, and Facebook decides it wants to decide a difference between followers and likes. Those are two separate metrics. Some of you might remember this from a year ago. A like is when somebody has decided to hit the like button on your page, and it will count towards the total number of likes for the page. So one like is one like, if you will. But following is different. This is a subcategory within the like button. If somebody is following you, they are choosing to have your posts show up in their feed. If you simply like a page, that doesn't mean your posts will show up as they scroll through their timeline. When you like a page, you are automatically following that page, but you do have the option to unfollow a page without unliking the page. Can it get any more convoluted? If somebody still likes your page, if they decide to unfollow you, then the posts from your page will not show up on their Facebook feed. And if somebody unlikes your page, then they automatically unfollow you too. Very convoluted. Facebook is the only platform that does something like this. Instagram, you only have followers. Twitter, you only have followers. But Facebook decides it wants to make a difference between follower and a like. I don't know why. Due to this logic, we probably have some dummy likes, if you will, in our total like count. Basically, dead interaction. But the moral of the story here, focus on the followers more than the likes. That's actually the more important one. That's where you get more of your engagement, which is good news, because if you go to the previous slide, that third row there through 2021, we have roughly 3,000 more followers than we have people that like the page. So that's good. We want more followers than likes. Convoluted system, I know, but ultimately, the big thing you need to take away from here is we're winning, okay? We're coming out ahead, we're making progress, and that's all you could ever wish for, right? So there's a little bit about the growth from what we've seen so far in Facebook and Twitter. We got one more platform, we got Instagram. Remember that we launched Instagram officially on November 2nd, 2020. So here's where it stands right now, or at least this is where it stood as of yesterday afternoon. We may have gotten another 1 or 2 followers since then. I'm not sure. But as of yesterday afternoon, we were at 788 followers. Over the 2 months that we opened this account in 2020, we gained 272 followers in that time. Throughout all of 2021, we gained 417. And you see over the months that we have so far in 2022, the numbers vary a little bit. I know we had some winter weather. I don't know if I want to call them scares, but at least winter weather was part of the conversation in January. So got a decent amount of followers that month with 57. And it's been a little more quiet in the months that have followed. But we are still young in the month of April. We've already gone through a couple of rounds of severe weather, with more on the way, I'm sure. So there's more opportunities to gain followers. Once again, this is progress, and that's all you could ever want. So I'm happy with it, and I'm very happy with all of our contributions. All of you have played a very significant role in growing the way we are today with every single account. Got nothing but great things to say about that. I really appreciate everybody's help in this. So there's your growth on Instagram. About a week ago, you might have gotten an email that somebody within our agency has created a new version of the NOAA logo. On the left is the old one. On the right is the new one. Can you find any differences? From what I'm able to tell, they made the shade of blue underneath the seagull maybe a little darker, that shade of blue. I don't really understand the logic of what they did there, but hey, cool. You can find the new logo and the styling guidelines in the link that I've provided. We are encouraged to gradually move around some of our logos to these social media posts that we have canned. I'll get around to that at some point, but from the very little difference there, I don't know if I would personally treat that as the biggest priority in the world. Kind of feels like we have bigger fish to fry there, but needless to say, in the realm of social media and posting and branding, I figured it might be worth it to call it to your attention, even if we can get a little laugh out of this, because looks pretty much the same to me. Moving on to quiet weather posts, we're in the midst of going through our Meet the Staff series. Vicki was the first one that we posted, and that went pretty well. Once again, thank you to Vicki for helping us out with that. Also got to give a shout out to Reed. He was the second one that we threw out there. And just a few days ago, posted Nancy. So we've had 3 people out there now that have been part of the Meet the Staff series on social media. This is something I try to do roughly once a week. I'm always taking more volunteers. I would love to have other people to be part of this series. If you're interested, send me a little bio about yourself. Give me a picture that you're okay with being posted, and tell me your favorite color, because I create these posts with a little personalization in it. So again, this is a totally volunteer kind of thing. I totally understand that some folks don't like their name or their face out there in public. One of the beauties of this job is being anonymous, and I totally get that. I can certainly appreciate that. But at the same time, I also like to bring a humanizing face to our office and our agency. And I think these are pretty fun. I kind of maybe want to get into a little bit of a part 2 of this series. Some of these posts could double as bios to be included with the staff directory on our webpage. There's a few WFOs out there that do this. Raleigh's one of them. Have that linked there if you wanted to check that out. Just, basically it would be kind of copy and pasting the bio that would be on the little social media post that I would create for you. We do interviews on the Wilmington Wave. I might be getting into somebody's inbox here soon about doing one for the spring version of our newsletter, particularly if we could have somebody on the ET and or ESA side to help us out, just to kind of show the breadth of who we are as an office. I think that's really cool. Outside of that, quiet weather posts, you have the PR shift and you don't have much going on radar. One thing that I typically kind of forget about, and maybe you do too, we have a drought going on. You can pull up something from the drought monitor to post. That's always kind of a good thing to kind of keep in mind at the back of your head. We have some good science-y kind of posts out there that I have linked here. You can look up stuff from the NWS Jetstream, which is like a little online weather school. You can pull up some climate statistics from XMASIS. Those are always good to play with. NWS Weather 101 classes. You click on that link and there's probably 2 dozen or 3 dozen little links for kids. You can just cherry pick one. I would suggest clicking on the link first to make sure that it works. I wouldn't be surprised if some of these are dead. But if you find a link that's good to go, hey, you can throw that one out there. And there's more. You can advertise parts of Cocoa Ross. You can advertise a little bit about the co-op program. We're always looking for more observers in that respect. So here's your reminder to use some of these little pieces. Of course, we have our seasonal safety campaigns year-round. We have our spring campaign, which I've also linked there. I'm open to any other ideas, anything that anybody's got kicking around. I'll save those for right now to the end of this presentation. But if anybody's got anything they have in mind that could be really good to contribute to this, man, I'm all for it. I'm always into collaboration and see who has what to contribute to this. So that's some of the stuff that comes out in mind for me. because I know some of those PR shifts and whatnot can be a little tricky. And with the ZE or the YE with weather stories and such.